Welcome to Heartline Stories. Today's story follows Tim, a simple office boy with big dreams. He had no idea that a small invention would change everything. What started as a simple idea quickly turned into a game changer. As Tim's life shifted from working in an office to becoming a billionaire, the question remains, how did one tech gadget create such an incredible transformation? Stay tuned to find out how his journey took a surprising turn. Let us know where you're watching from, and don't forget to like and subscribe. There was a young man named Tim who lived in a small apartment in a busy city. Tim wasn't rich, but he had a dream. He wanted to create something that would change the world. Every day, Tim worked as an office boy in a big tech company, running errands, making coffee, and doing whatever was needed. He wasn't the smartest person in the office, but he was always curious and loved to learn. Tim often watched the engineers at the company, amazed by the gadgets they worked on. One day, while cleaning the office, he noticed a pile of old, unused parts lying in the corner. They were scraps of tech gadgets and devices no one had used in years. Tim saw something in those parts that others didn't see. He spent his lunch breaks and weekends taking apart these old devices and combining their parts to create something new. It was messy, and Tim wasn't sure it would work, but he believed in it. After weeks of tinkering, he finally created a small gadget that could solve a problem he'd often heard people complain about, charging their phones quickly and without the need for a lot of wires. Tim had created the world's first smart charger, a gadget that could charge a phone to 100% in just 15 minutes. He was excited, but he didn't know what to do next. His friends told him he should show it to someone in the company, but Tim was nervous. After all, he was just the office boy, not an engineer or inventor. He thought no one would care about his creation. But one day when his boss, Mr. Anderson, was walking through the office, Tim decided to take a chance. He approached Mr. Anderson and showed him the small gadget he had made. Mr. Anderson took one look at it and his eyes widened. "Where did you get this from?" he asked. Tim nervously explained how he had used old parts to create the device. "How long did it take you to make this?" Mr. Anderson asked. "About a month," Tim replied, still unsure what would happen next. "You did all this by yourself?" Mr. Anderson asked, amazed. Tim nodded. "Yes, sir." Mr. Anderson smiled. "This could change everything. I want to introduce you to the right people." Tim couldn't believe what he was hearing. He followed Mr. Anderson to the head engineer, who was just as impressed with the gadget. The engineers tested the smart charger, and it worked perfectly. Within a week, they had made improvements to Tim's design, turning it into something even better. Tim's invention quickly became the talk of the company. Within a few months, the company started mass-producing the smart chargers. They became so popular that other companies wanted to buy the technology. Soon, Tim's simple idea turned into a multi-million-dollar business. The company offered Tim a promotion and a large bonus, but he wasn't interested in just being an employee. Tim had bigger dreams now. With the money he had earned from his invention, he decided to start his own tech company. He quit his job, rented a small office, and began working on more ideas. He hired a small team of engineers, and together they created more groundbreaking gadgets. Tim's company grew quickly, and soon it was worth billions. As the years passed, Tim's name became known all over the world. People admired his hard work and creativity. From a humble office boy with a dream, he had become one of the richest and most successful entrepreneurs in the world. But Tim never forgot where he came from. He often visited the old office where he had started to remind himself of how far he had come. He also made sure to help others who were just starting out, just like he had. Tim knew that success wasn't just about money, it was about helping others and believing in yourself. As Tim stood in front of a room full of young entrepreneurs at a tech conference, he smiled. "I was once in your shoes," he said, "and if I can do it, so can you." And that was how one simple gadget, created by an office boy with a big dream, changed everything. Tim's journey wasn't just about becoming a billionaire. It was about inspiring others to believe in themselves no matter where they started. Tim's company continued to grow, and he found himself constantly coming up with new ideas. He never stopped thinking about how technology could improve people's lives. But as his business expanded, so did the challenges. Tim had to make tough decisions, hire the right people, and ensure that his company stayed ahead of the competition. One day, as Tim was reviewing a new idea for a wearable device that would help monitor people's health, his phone rang. It was an unexpected call from Mr. Anderson, the man who had first recognized his potential all those years ago. "Tim, we need to talk," Mr. Anderson said, sounding serious. "I've come across something that could change the way you look at your company." Tim was intrigued. "What's going on?" "It's an opportunity to merge with another company," Mr. Anderson continued. "They're offering a deal that could bring your tech to an even bigger audience, but it comes with a price. You'll have to give up some control over your business." Tim paused, thinking. He had worked so hard to build his company, and now the thought of sharing control made him nervous. But at the same time, the idea of reaching more people and expanding his vision was tempting. "I need time to think about it," Tim said finally. Over the next few days, Tim discussed the offer with his team, his family, and his closest friends. Everyone had different opinions. Some of his team members were excited about the potential growth, while others were worried about losing the company's independence. Tim decided to take a step back and reflect on what was truly important. He remembered the struggles he had faced as an office boy, working hard to get by, and how far he had come since then. He realized that it wasn't just about growing the company, it was about staying true to the values that had gotten him to where he was. After much thought, Tim called Mr. Anderson back. "I appreciate the offer, but I think we should keep the company independent for now," Tim said. "We've built something special, and I don't want to risk losing that." Mr. Anderson respected Tim's decision, and the two agreed to stay in touch for future opportunities. Tim knew that there would always be challenges ahead, but he was determined to face them on his own terms. As the months passed, Tim's company continued to innovate and grow. He launched new products, hired more people, and expanded his reach even further. He became a mentor to young entrepreneurs, always sharing his story of how a simple idea and hard work could turn a dream into reality. But Tim also remembered the lessons he had learned along the way: to stay humble, to believe in himself, and to never lose sight of the values that mattered most. One day, as Tim stood in his office looking out at the city skyline, he realized that his journey was far from over. There were still so many ideas to explore, so many people to help, and so much more to accomplish. He smiled to himself. He had started as an office boy, and now he was living the life he had always dreamed of. But he knew that success wasn't just about money or recognition. It was about making a difference in the world and helping others do the same. Tim's story wasn't just about how he became a billionaire. It was about the power of perseverance, creativity, and kindness. Tim's journey wasn't easy, and he knew it wasn't over yet. As the tech world changed at lightning speed, he had to keep adapting, stay one step ahead, and constantly innovate. But one thing was clear. Tim had learned to trust his instincts, and his business had flourished because of it. One afternoon, as he sat in his office reviewing the latest numbers, his phone buzzed. It was a message from his lead engineer, Sarah. "Tim, I think we've finally cracked it. The new wearable tech we've been working on, it's ready for testing." Tim's heart skipped a beat. This could be the breakthrough he'd been waiting for. This new gadget could change the way people interacted with technology in a way no one had thought of before. He grabbed his jacket and rushed to the lab, eager to see the results. When he arrived, Sarah and her team were already gathered around a large table. On it sat the new device, sleek and compact, with advanced sensors and technology that seemed almost futuristic. Sarah smiled. "We've been able to create a wearable device that not only monitors health, but can also predict potential health risks based on real-time data. It's the next step in wearable tech." Tim's eyes widened as he picked up the device. This, this could revolutionize healthcare. Imagine people being able to catch health problems before they even happen. "You've really done it." Sarah beamed. "We've only just scratched the surface, Tim. This technology could be used for so much more than we ever imagined." Tim felt a rush of excitement. This was the kind of product that could make a real difference in people's lives, just like his first invention had. But there was a problem. Developing the technology was one thing, but getting it into the hands of the right people was another. He needed a plan. He gathered his team together to brainstorm. They discussed everything from marketing strategies to partnerships with healthcare providers. It was a big undertaking, but Tim was ready. He knew this could be the next step in his company's evolution. But there was also one more challenge that Tim hadn't anticipated. Someone else had taken notice of their work. A rival company, led by a well-known tech mogul, had caught wind of Tim's innovation. They reached out to Tim's team, offering a hefty sum to buy the rights to the new technology. Tim sat down in his office, feeling the weight of the decision before him. If he sold the rights, he would make a fortune, but he would lose control of the product and its potential. On the other hand, if he kept it, his company would have to work harder to make it a success on their own. He reached out to his closest advisor, Mr. Anderson, for advice. The two had been through so much together, and Tim trusted him more than anyone. Mr. Anderson listened carefully, then said, "Tim, you've built this company on your vision. You know what's best for it. But you also need to think about what's best for people. Don't let money cloud your judgment. If you believe in this technology, fight for it." Tim nodded. He had always trusted his instincts, and this was no different. He couldn't let his creation be sold off to someone who only saw it as another product for profit. He decided to keep control no matter the challenge. Over the next few months, Tim and his team worked tirelessly to launch the new product. It wasn't easy, and there were setbacks along the way, but they kept pushing forward. They partnered with health organizations, launched awareness campaigns, and soon the wearable tech was available to the public. The impact was immediate. People began using the device to monitor their health and prevent serious conditions. It was revolutionary, and soon the product became a household name. Tim's company reached new heights of success, and his dream of helping people through technology was becoming a reality. But even as Tim's wealth and influence grew, he remained grounded. He never forgot where he came from, the office boy who dreamed of changing the world. And now he was doing just that. But as the company expanded, Tim found himself facing new challenges. Competition was fierce, and as the tech world moved faster than ever, Tim knew that he would have to stay ahead of the game. The success of the new product was only the beginning. One day, as Tim sat in his office, a young intern knocked on his door. "Mr. Foster, we have a situation," she said, looking nervous. "There's a new competitor in the market. They've just released a similar product, and it's causing a lot of buzz." Tim leaned back in his chair, staring out the window. The world of tech was always changing, and he knew that innovation was key to staying relevant. But this new competition meant that they had to act fast. He took a deep breath, ready to face whatever came next. "Let's meet with the team," he said. "We've built this company from the ground up, and we're not backing down now." Tim stood up from his desk, his mind racing with possibilities. He knew that the competition would be tough, but it wasn't anything he hadn't faced before. The tech world was built on innovation, and he wasn't about to let some newcomer take his spot. Gathering his top team in the conference room, he laid out a plan. "We need to stay ahead. We can't just react to this new product. We need to improve ours, offer something better, something they haven't even thought of." His lead engineer, Sarah, spoke up. "We've been working on something that could add even more value to our device. I think it's time to test it." Tim nodded. "Let's do it. I want to see it in action." The team worked late into the night, refining and tweaking the new features. The new technology Sarah had been developing was something no one else had yet, a feature that allowed the device to not only monitor health, but also offer personalized health suggestions based on an individual's unique patterns. This was the next level. The next morning, Tim called for a meeting with his marketing and sales team. They needed to make a bold move to launch the upgraded product and show the world that they were still the leaders in innovation. "Let's get a big influencer on board to test our product, someone with credibility in the health and wellness space. We need to create excitement," Tim instructed. As the weeks passed, the buzz about the upgraded product began to grow. People loved the new features, and soon the device was being promoted by health experts and influencers all over social media. But then, just when Tim thought they had won the battle, another twist occurred. One of his own employees, Derek, came to him with troubling news. "Tim, I hate to say it, but our rival company has just released a cheaper version of the product. It's similar to ours, but at a fraction of the price." Tim felt his stomach drop. This was a serious problem. How could they compete with that? He knew they had to do something drastic, something that would put them back in the lead. But what could they do? How could they turn the tables once again? It was Sarah who had the idea. What if we make the product even more personalized? We could use artificial intelligence to learn the user's preferences and customize their health plan down to the smallest detail. Tim's eyes lit up. That's it. We'll create a truly tailored experience that no one else can match. As the team got to work on the new upgrade, Tim focused on another important aspect of the business, building partnerships with top-tier healthcare providers. If they could get their product into hospitals and clinics, they would have an unbeatable edge. Weeks passed, and the pressure was mounting. But Tim's determination only grew stronger. He had worked too hard to let his company fall behind now. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, the new version of the product was ready for launch. Tim felt a wave of excitement mixed with anxiety. Would it be enough to stay ahead of the competition? The launch was a massive success. Hospitals and clinics lined up to adopt the technology, and the personalized health features made the product even more popular. The competition was no longer a threat. It was clear that Tim's company had once again outpaced them. Tim sat back and breathed a sigh of relief. "We did it," he said, smiling at his team. "We've not only survived, we've thrived." But as always, Tim knew that success was only temporary. In the world of technology, the race never ended. There was always something new on the horizon, always more challenges to overcome. He looked out the window, knowing that the next step in his journey was just beginning. What could he create next? What would he do to continue changing the world? One thing was certain. Tim's work was far from over, and he was ready for whatever came next. Tim sat at his desk, looking out the window, the world seeming vast and full of possibilities. But he knew that innovation didn't just come from chasing the next big thing. It came from constantly listening to people's needs and thinking about how to make their lives better. He thought back to where it all started, the small office, his humble beginnings, the tech gadget he had created out of nothing. He had come so far, but he also knew this wasn't the end. There was always more to do, more people to help, more lives to change. The phone on his desk rang, snapping him out of his thoughts. It was the investor who had helped him in the early days. "Tim, I just wanted to say how proud I am of what you've built," the investor said. "Your company is changing lives, and you've set a new standard for innovation. But remember, the journey never ends." Tim smiled. The words felt like a reminder and a challenge all at once. He had already achieved so much, but there was still so much more to do. He hung up the phone and turned back to his team, who were working on new ideas in the other room. "All right," he said, standing up with a sense of determination. And with that, Tim knew that the real adventure was still ahead of him. Thank you for joining us on this Heartline story. Sometimes the smallest ideas can lead to the biggest changes. Never stop dreaming big. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.